Hi, Leta. Welcome to Tap Tuesday. It's been an amazing week. It's been a great week, hasn't it? Hasn't it been like the best week ever?
I
Okay, so obviously it has not been the best week ever. Things have been really stressful around here. We've got Colorado Gives starts November 1st. We're trying to rev up for that for your dance studio. Colorado Gives, for everyone who doesn't know, is a major fundraiser here in Colorado where all the nonprofits definitely do not compete against each other for a $1 million prize purse and $10,000 to the top winner. Plus, there's power hours where you can win $2,000 more. Plus, if you get new monthly donors in the first week or so, there's $250,000 where they will match the first monthly donation. Crazyville for 39 days and the weeks leading up to it, months as everyone's getting ready. We've got Party for Autistic Wings coming up, is the first big fundraiser for Autistic Wings Dance Studio. Synergy Academy of Dance here in the Springs reached out and asked, hey, can we hold a benefit concert for you? And hey, can Leta come to it? We said yes. We got to get ready for that. And on top of all else, we can't expand the studio without expanding into a new space. It's $5,000 a month for the new space. And the studio is literally crumbling apart. The walls are literally falling apart. Am I correct in that, Leta?
Yep.
But on top of all that, your microphone broke for podcasting. So I'm using the studio's lapel microphone that we use for the TikToks for the studio. You have my fancy schmancy microphone. It's probably going to be January before we get a new one because your daddy works for the military and your daddy's not getting a paycheck at the moment, correct? So we sat there and did something interesting. We went to the old AI machine. What should we talk about this week? Because you and I spent, 30 minutes, an hour trying to figure out what we were talking about this week, correct?
Definitely correct.
And the old AI machine went, well, why don't you talk about how Leta feels when she performs on stage? Seemed like a good idea since you are doing your first ever guest solo for someone else's thingy. And they also were like asking about accommodations. And I'm like, that sounds interesting. And you said it sounded interesting. So we are going to discuss how would you put your relationship with the stage, Leta?
I hate it. I love it. I hate it at the same time.
So when Synergy reached out about this, they asked about accommodations, and their first question was, is it okay if people yell and scream and clap during her performance? And my thought was, Leta is weird. She's autistic. Let's just say the autistic neurodivergent mind is a little on the crazy side. And you're okay with people yelling and screaming and clapping extremely loudly and stomping during your performances, aren't you?
What do you mean? Nobody does that when I do stuff. It is like radio silence every time I do something. Like for everybody else, radio silence. When I do something, radio silence.
All evidence to the contrary. I'm going to put in 30 seconds or less of clips of people responding to you dancing at Hollywood Tap Fest or DC Tap Fest or both. Maybe we could do a montage real quick of the response of what happens when you're on stage, child mine. So yeah, people yell and scream while you're on stage. You just can't hear them. The moment the music stops, the moment your tap shoes stop, the moment that you are not taking chunks of floor out of whatever dance floor you are on and you are smirking because you do that every single place we've been, those people in the audience suddenly clapping and cheering go from, oh my God, I can't hear them, to OMG, it's about to be sensory overload here, don't they?
I think anybody wants to hear that high pitch of laugh on me.
You're laughing because it's true. You are laughing because the moment you stop dancing, the moment there are no longer chunks of wood flying, the moment your feet stand still is the moment you're like, oh, there's a world again, and I can't handle loud noises. I'm still having a meltdown because there was so much clap.
Okay, now before you have to. Okay, not my fault. Let's.
2 DCs ago.
No.
You didn't go to the last one.
I didn't want to see. I was one. I thought we went to last year's one.
Yeah, you went to
That one?
2024, not 2025. 2024.
I
But
said last year. Wasn't last year 2020?
yeah, the last one was the 2025 one in September. Let's get back to this. You absolutely positively did have a full-fledged meltdown because there was so much loud noise and clapping in a small enclosed space, which is hysterically funny to most people because you're a tap dancer. But and you're not a little beautiful lyrical Fred Astaire. You are a hard-hitting.
Yeah, why compared to everybody else?
Are we talking lyrical?
Now we're talking. We're talking. No, we're talking. Why
Congrats.
compared to Sam?
What? What I'm saying, though, is we are going somewhere that does cute little innocent lyrical. We're bringing your own floor.
Okay, just because I got one place banned from church means nothing.
And the competition, you got banned from a perfect theater.
It's a male's banned from her.
You're not. The competition is different discussion. To this discussion right now. It probably seems weird to a lot of people, but you do have a minor sensory issue when it comes to clapping and screaming after you're done performing.
Okay, in my defense, if you wanted to torture me, you could just say so. They could just say if they want to torture me, they could just say it. Just say it. Just say it.
But that's what I'm saying, is that's. But you can't hear it during your performance. Lord forbid you hear it during the performance. I'll show you a performance afterwards, and you're like, where'd that come from? My mind just went on where I'm going with this. I am curious because that was one of the first things Synergy said. And my thought is, in my head was like, well, no, she's fine with clapping and screaming during. Just don't do it afterwards. That sounds weird. You're laughing, but it's true. But I have other questions for you because this year at Hollywood, you performed during a meltdown. And I don't know if Miss Chloe and Miss Maud realized you were melting down because they blew the speakers before your solo.
I don't know.
But it's true. You actually managed to perform not perfect because you were in the middle of a meltdown. But, and I think that's why you missed a step and hurt yourself in the middle of the performance, correct?
Okay, I admit to nothing.
But my statement here is it's really weird what sets off your sound sensory issues because, as previously stated, blow out the speakers right before your performance, and you're like, I can get through this. I can melt down on stage. I don't think anyone else but me knew you
Well,
were
I
melting
didn't
down.
cry. That's a win. I didn't cry from pain. And my head pulsing.
But I really think nobody else knew you were melting down. I think that's one thing that people don't understand also with you being an autistic dancer. You can be in the middle of a meltdown and still perform at a high level. I'm not sure if that's good or bad. Would you like to take a pick on whether that's good or bad?
Just put on the old western. Now put on the scene of somebody getting shot in the side and just rolling on with life. And then going to the bar afterwards because they decided they needed a drink, not the doctor.
So, there were some other things that I was mentioning to one of your friends / coworkers who works at the dance studio is like, no one asked about your dyslexia though, because you have severe dyslexia, so you can't read a call sheet. So when it comes to accommodations, you need someone to tell you like, hey, you are on 2 songs after this, right?
Yes, and I have just learned the ghost be ghosting, and this wee little ghost will just ghostly find its way to stage.
Because you've had that problem before. Let's be honest. If you have never been backstage, and we've not been to Synergy, I'm just going to assume they work the way some of our performance friends do. What are called backstage is not what they really are sometimes, isn't it, Leta?
Never.
This how you. But each each performance group has their own nicknames for all the songs. Because if you're backstage and you're talking at like, pick one of the performance groups you've been part of, Alabama Dance Theater, and you're talking Good King Wenceslas versus Oh Good King is next. I mean, because you're shortening them, or the Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy. It looks great, sounds great. When you're backstage calling what's next, Sugar Plum is what everyone calls it usually backstage. I think a lot of people who haven't been backstage is a world in and of itself. The adults usually goes backstage. A good stage manager usually has a secondary and third in a production deal where you are being told, hey, this is where you're at. Or costuming knows exactly where everyone's at, or a stage mom knows exactly where everyone's at. A good stage manager is definitely worth 3 times their weight in gold, don't you think?
Yeah, so they just pick one of the babies and they use the babies as a tiny weird little messenger. And then you go, please, please, please don't forget what I said, fully. Please, 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 please remember every single little word I said. Please, 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 please. I probably should have that sold. I don't know.
Oh, but when you went in back to studios that were more competition based, they were expecting you to read the last 2 studios you were in, Autistic Wings not being one of them. They were both competition based. And it's like, okay, here's the call sheet. And those call sheets don't look anything like the performance call sheets to begin with. But once more, you cannot freaking read because of your dyslexia.
Never shall I ever go back to the competition studio day.
There's a difference in mentality, I think. It's not that they're bad, it's just they're so used to they're used to the competition lifestyle and not having the call sheets, the costuming department, the props department, the large prop department, the small prop department that you grew up in coming up most of your youth through production. You're used to it having that. You're used to the production side, and moving between the 2 is hard.
Well, I didn't really move between the two. I'm more like, I could get.
Well, yeah, but I mean, there is a distinct difference between, and I will say this 100% again, studios are so focused on those competitions that when it comes to having a concert or having a performance, they're not as set up as a performance studio where that's what they live and breathe. And so when they're doing call sheets, it's usually every single word in that song title. And it's not like usually sometimes even has the singer and you're like, that's just that's a lot of words there.
I'm
And
sorry, there is too much English for one sentence. I'm sorry. Can you just? I don't know. But don't know English for 5 seconds and pretend I'm not the grew up in America, spoke English my whole life speaker. And for 5 seconds for the of my brain.
I think there's a lot to be said between every production studio, every production group has their own shorthand for the songs, and you figure them out really quick. Like Jingle Bells tends to get JB or Jingle or Jingle Bells.
The name's Bill. I don't mean Beauty and the Beast. I mean the Bill. Beauty and the Beast, like, wait.
Get to Mary Kalikimaka. Oh, because we're going into the holiday seasons. Mary Kalikimaka.
That's just called.
I have been in studios where it was just called Mary. And then you're like, if you come in, you're like, well, is that Mary? Did you know? Is that Mary Kalikimaka? And then you're like,
Just go. Michael Waka. It was Michael Waka from House Charles for here now. Michael Waka. I like saying Michael Waka. This is fun to say. Michael Waka Waka. Michael Waka.
I actually had something on this one for the accommodations. That's when someone found out that I have a phonological issue with my auto processing. They're like, there's no R in Meli Kalikimaka. And I'm like, yeah, but if you say Melly and Mary near me, sometimes I can't tell the difference. You're giving me a look. There are some words that you absolutely positively agree with me. There are some words that if they're doing it fast, that you're like, what word did you just say? aren't you?
Oh, that one song was like, "Bring me home," and I'm like, "Okay, I know you say bring me home."
Yes. Yes. Yes, yes. Yes. Yes, yes. That's one of those accommodations that I don't think people understand is the call sheet needs to, if you can accommodate my call sheet, does not have to be everyone's call sheet. My call sheet, can you accommodate it to my needs? Whether that be because you can read a lot better if it's Comic Sans or any of the whatchamacallit dyslexic ones, but because you can only read in those dyslexic fonts, you are still considered illiterate. But I mean, you're laughing hysterically. We've gotten off topic on that one. But no, even the phonological. Could you pick words that aren't the same when you're talking to me? And I know they didn't sound the same to you, but trust me, in a middle of a very, very noisy backstage, heaven help me, backstage is noisy. I didn't mention this, but you probably need your headphones on backstage, don't you?
What do you suddenly going? Okay, when the person, if she doesn't have the cowboy boots on and doesn't have the, if you has a skirt over the shirt, you find the person with the headphones.
And no, but I mean, I don't think people understand how noisy backstage can get, especially at some of these older theaters where it is tombs and those tombs like
I just
echo.
go to music. I just go to playlists. I just go on living, and hopefully I don't accidentally miss the call. But even if I do, it's not because of the headphones. It's because most of you people will don't shut up backstage. And I know you can't shut up backstage because all you are trying to figure out what the shit you're doing because you leave me quiet while you thinking, can you please shut up backstage?
But it's not just the people around you who are getting changed. If you are in a performance studio, which I think this is where competition studios don't quite understand performance studio, they're piping in the songs from on stage so you can hear where you are.
Also, plus the sellers are doing the sewing, the touches, that's minutes because all that
Something, oh, it never fails. The costuming department. Nope,
Please,
stitched 5 minutes ago.
costumes just got more blood than the others, and it's just because, yeah, this ballerina that's only ran into a wall and a Stitchy decided to come out, you know. Yeah, no, because Stitch just was the ballerina still wearing it, or the jazz person, or the tap person, or the hip hop person. Yeah.
No, 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 no. That's why you have a great costuming department. That is why you have a great costuming department, because the costuming department can sew you into a costume without doing anything. But I have seen costumes hanging up on a rack and suddenly something is unstitched right beforehand. You've got because it never fails in a costuming department backstage at a production studio, you have 3 or 4 hand sewers and you have 3 or 4 sewers that are using a sewing machine, and then you've got the sorter going at the same time. It is noisy as heck. Plus, you have stage manager is usually on the mic telling you what's going on, so that I mean, it's chaos backstage, and as long as you're backstage, you can run like a herd of elephants in your point shoes. You know what I'm talking about. And when all the ballerinas are running, like actually running, not ballet running.
I feel like this is a different story for a different day, for a different time frame. Christmas, it's for Christmas, Christmas is happening, well, doing the Christmas production.
But it's happened to you without doing a Christmas production. It's happened to any spring production you've ever done.
Okay, spring productions. It's great.
So my opinion is because the spring productions cycle and your holiday production is a holiday production that has been done at performance studios for 20, 30, 40 years.
Oh
And
yeah, the spring productions usually have a new dance, while the Christmas production is usually the same dance. Everybody knows, but it's like, okay, we all know this.
you usually can give the little kids some
But they
leeway.
usually don't wind up in the hole. They usually like, okay, just float, and then
And literally, depending on where the orchestra pit is on stage, seriously, when you're talking the spring performances, it could be Cinderella, it could be Sleeping Beauty, it could be the Swan Lake, it could be Giselle, it could be something new that the studio's put together. When you're talking Christmas performance, you're either talking Nutcracker or whatever the studio has decided is their Christmas performance. Like when you were at Alabama Dance Studio, some of those pieces of choreo were laid 40 years ago.
And I go,
But because think it through though, but because this has been being done so very, 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 very long, not only are there people in the audience who originated those parts now looking at you, there are the older kids remember being the angels who, in your case, got lost under the fabric. But when you got back, you were dealing with the middle schoolers were the ones working the fabric and early high schoolers, and they're terrified that the high schoolers who previously had that part are going to yell at them and go, "How'd you lose the kids on the fabric?" And the high schoolers are like, "Yep, been there, done that." But because of that, there's talkie-talkie back there. It's like, "Hey, I just messed up on a part. Can you help me before tomorrow where I mess up on it again?"
what's that? At least they found me. That's a pretty sure I traveled to another land.
But you've been in competition studios, and because they're not so focused on that performance, backstage is different at a competition studio performance. Part of my problem when it comes to accommodations, especially since Synergy is a competition studio at heart, as a lot of them are going, I only know I've really focused because most of your career's been in performance studio aside from 2 years where you went over to competition because that's what was available to you. All the accommodations I know are for you at a performance studio, like, "Hey, Lita may need you to actually tell her you're up in 2," which because you grew up in performance, you know you're up in 2 doesn't necessarily mean 2 minutes, but you also need at least I have assumed you've needed. You need that countdown to curtains rising, don't you?
So what's the difference between the comp studio on that one and the performance studio on that one is the comp kids don't know that you shut up when they announce that stuff. The performance kids know you you just get you don't get it you just do and you get it distracted. Now you wound up on your bad side.
But it's also a different call to stage. Like if you were in a performance, one, you're there like, 2 hours ahead, you warm up, then you all run downstairs and you get the whole, okay, 1 hour, 15 minutes to call, 1 hour to call, 45 minutes to call, 30 to call, 15 to call, 10 to call, 5 to call. You better be in position by time I call 5 to call. But you also, like you said, you shut up and you go, "Thanks, miss," whoever the manager is.
And you get scolding. Because you don't get on the bad side. You just do it. You just do it. You tell it. You hear ghost stories about the bad side and you go, I'm not those ghost stories.
But as someone who's come up through that, not just because I think there is a thing where competition studios, I've seen kids try to go into performance studios and they're like, "Why do we need to say thank you, miss or mister, and use their name?"
Because you don't want to be put.
You want one better? I will tell you that my friends who do professional, like Broadway and touring, they may not see the stage manager come down because the stage manager doesn't come down like they did with Alabama Dance because going to everyone's to say, "Hey, 15, 30, 10, 15, all that fun jazz." Yeah, that ain't happening. They will still stop what they're doing in the middle of the dressing room. Stop it. Listen to the call to stage time and then go, "Thank you, Miss So and so. Thank you, Mr. So and so. Thank you, Mrs. So and so."
And that being right.
But I think you've grown up in performance so much that when you go to anything that's not performance, when you go to something competition based, that kind of
I'm sorry.
I think for you, that becomes an accommodation you need when you go perform at a competition studio. "Hey, Lita needs to know how long Because someone was like, "Oh, well, we can't tell her what her call to stage is." And I'm like, "But that hour, 45, 30, 15, 10, 5, you better damn well have your butt up there if you're in that first number."
Uh,
Like, I think this sounds like we've gone down a rabbit hole, but I think this is more into the accommodations because you are a performance kid. There are things that you have been taught that you have been taught this must be done to satisfy the theater god. This must be done to satisfy the theater gremlins. This must be done because the theater fairies will make your life miserable. You are walking away. No, no, no. Come back here. But I think that's an accommodation you need because you have grown up with the autism, especially. You've grown up within the performance community. You have grown up, carnations. No, 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 carnation. Do not do carnations. You,
oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm not being part of a dust. Like stupidly
for people who do not know, carnations are a death flower. And like, you shouldn't get fresh flowers.
cursed. They are cursed. They are cursed. They will use 1 point, so therefore.
You should not get flowers before a performance. You should not give carnations, and flowers should always be at least a day old that you give to your
Yes.
dancers.
Also, apparently, the whole carnations are cursed is because originally they were used for funeral flowers. And don't get who wants to use them like. I don't get the one who wants to use them for real.
The whole reason they're day old flowers is you stole them from graves, but carnations were what the mourners wore on their boutonnieres.
And
But I think sometimes when you're neurodivergent, you take these stories and you hold them a little bit more. Go ahead.
yes. And if these people, another row. I'm sorry. I well, they still. But
I think that's one of the things going from a competition studio to a performance studio. I'm back. Because, like, you are never going to give up your opinion, nor am I, on carnations and flowers because you got fresh flowers for a performance before the performance and it had carnations in it. And what happened that performance, Leta?
I'm not the one who went to the hospital. That's unfortunate. Also, same time. Wait, was that the year we figured out I was allergic to lipstick?
No, that was.
Is it?
Mhm. That was the one. The one that we figured out you were allergic to lipstick. There were just carnations in the vicinity because the music department had left carnations. The one I'm talking about is your last recital with Alabama Dancer. And the look on your face, because that was the one where, like, everything that could go wrong went wrong with that deal of flowers. It said good luck instead of things I can't say.
Leave. Good life to everyone. Curseness. The mistake to say to everyone that cancels out the curseness. The curseness of the carnations.
But that was the one where the fire alarm got pulled and kids got left in the building because
I
adults followed.
am confused on nobody stopped me from saying good luck to everyone.
No, because I mentioned to one of the adults what had gone down, and they're like, Lita knows to say good luck to everyone, right? One of the adults knew what went down because I was like, hey, Lita got told good luck. And they're like, she knows she needs to now go tell good luck to everyone, right?
You feel me there.
But in comp, saying good luck is okay. In comp,
Wait a minute, so what one in the high school was the high schooler that told me that afterwards Lily ran to me and said, I'm sorry, Lena.
yes, because they had not been told by an adult. And when the adult told them what was going on, the high schooler felt bad because they're like, oh my gosh, the 9-year-old is trying to fix our luck. You were like 9 when all that went down, but
I just thought it was the polite thing to do. I did mistakes.
well, you're also not supposed to say go break because you're also not supposed to say break a leg to a ballerina. You can say break a leg to a musical theater person, but break a leg to a ballerina. And but all of this goes back to accommodations because you really truly do believe in this. I do too. I'm not knocking it. Every production person truly does believe in this. Thou shalt not do this. And you go into a comp studio and I'm like, "Hi, you don't understand. She has performance tendencies on top of her autistic tendencies, and you take performance tendencies and mesh them with autism tendencies, and you're going to think they're weird because most of these comp studios, they did not grow up in the major performances you grew up in. I mean, you grew up in 5 nights a week when you do the show.
Okay.
But I think there's where the weirdness and accommodations that are needed for a neurodivergent dancer versus a neurotypical dancer, though when I find a fully neurotypical performance yet, I find more neurotypical dancers in competition than I do in performance. And I think it's because performance is set up, while it's still taught very neurotypical. I don't think anyone involved in performance is neurotypical. I am most assuredly not disagreeing at all. What I am stating is that when looking for accommodations for an autistic dancer like you, I think there's a lot to be said that you have to understand that a performance autistic dancer is coming in with that performance autistic background. And what you may think of as weird is them going, yeah, it's more than just the sensory issues. It is I'm sorry, I saw carnations. I am not stepping on that stage. But back to the statement, you and I, it is so ingrained in you from being performance that switching over to competition where none of this is normal, they don't do things like how they say good luck to ballerinas, which is not an appropriate word in French. And people look at me weird. I'm like, but that's how you say good luck because you're a ballerina. And I don't want your leg breaking because if you say break a leg to a ballerina, they might actually break a leg. But on the other hand, there's a whole deal with musical theater. So you have to know how to say good luck to people. And in
We
competitions, they do
don't
just
talk.
so. I think sometimes the accommodations need to be more than just let's work on the fabric and whether or not they're sensitive to the fabric. Let's think about the lights. Let's think about the noise level. I think accommodations with things like autism need to include if you are performance trained, then they need to understand you're coming in with the performance background. And it's not just it is in some ways is so weird because you need to say thank you to your stage manager 700 gazillion times in a performance, which competition never says thank you to their stage manager 700 times in performance. I've been to competitions, I've been backstage where they never once say thank you to the
It's
person. But and I think I am now really thinking we need to do an entire episode just on how some of these came to be
we
because
should
we
probably finish this. There you go.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. But I
I will
think
just
the competition studios when they're do you think the competition studios when they're like, "Oh, what accommodations does she need?" And I'm like, "Well, if there's not a ghost light, lie and say there's a ghost light. When she says, 'Hey, fairies just tugged on my dill,'
What? No, why would I say it? I'm right.
or the gremlin dills where something goes missing, it is definitely the theater gremlins. It is not anyone misplaced it because we all know it's the theater gremlins. And then
Except that one time when I was 7. One time. It was not the theater gremlin.
oh, but theater gremlins came out in force the next night.
Oh yeah, the next night it was definitely the theater gremlins. The first night, oh boy, it was not the theater gremlins. Because it was actually
We
an
do need to do
apology
an
note.
we need an entire episode on just theater. Just one episode explaining this
Oh, I
to
forgot
the
to add
compass.
life. On with life. There it is.
Just one minor episode, or like 3 or 4
On
explaining
with
this.
life.
Brain. But I think sometimes trying to explain some of your accommodations, like, no, she does believe in theater gremlins. She does believe in theater fairies. She believes in theater ghosts. Guess what? So do a lot of people who are currently working on Broadway because I've had comp coaches, comp teachers go, no one else believes in theater ghosts. Yeah, we are doing an entire episode on the autistic brain and theater mythology. Mythology here being just as big as any other religious mythology. You're laughing. But no, I do think that it does help sometimes. It sounds crazy, but the accommodations of that for especially neurodivergent dancers who do truly believe in it. And I'm not saying anything because you've heard me sit there and go, okay, need to bring in a peace offering for the theater that ferries tomorrow because I have done something and I'm not sure what I have done, but I am sorry and I will bring you your cute little peace offering.
I know the fairy. I'm not trying to make a peace offering ever with fairy. I don't know what it is with fairies. They don't take peace offerings well. Because they are picky. They are picky little fairies. They are picky fairies. Fairies are picky. At least the ones I knew were picky. At least the ones at the theater, they was picky. At least the ones at the two performance theaters I went to were picky. They were picky. They were picky fairies. They were very picky fairies. They were very much picky.
What I'm saying though is that sometimes accommodations come in different forms. They come in accommodating the belief system as well and understanding that you are going to say thank you to the voice of the stage manager because the stage manager is God. You are going to go quiet when the stage manager is talking because we all know the stage manager can tell anyone what
I
to
got
do.
this. What if the stage manager is a girl? Got it.
Yes, but I think I do think that there are a lot of people who don't understand that. I think there are a lot of people who think it's a weird thing. I think we need to wrap this up. I think next week's needs to be just a whole thing on theater mythology because this is very important and the autistic brain. Quit looking at me weird. I will be editing a bit of this. And for those of you who've stuck around through this insanity, thank you for listening. Like, comment, share, subscribe. We are part of the PodMatch podcasting network. If you are interested in coming on to Friends Friday to talk about autism, neurodiversity, ADHD, all that fun jazz, hit us up over on PodMatch. Let us know, and we'd love to connect. If you are a dancer who would like to come on and talk on Tap Tuesday,
Please. Also, if y'all want my friends randomly running into this one, I'm probably embarrassing myself in front of you if any of my friends are watching this because you're all coolers than me. Please come on.
we are, of course, as always, accepting donations for Leta's dance studio. We're going to spend the first 2 weeks of November talking about it and talking about her new tap video that's coming out to support it. If you live in the Colorado area and you hear this before October 31st, come party with us for Autistic Wings Dance Company at Top Golf. You do not have to play golf. There is Angry Birds. There is NFL Touchdown. You can play any of those. Tune in the next few weeks as we discuss pathology from the autistic mind. So see everyone on Friday. We have Daniela, who is a dyslexic coach, coming on to talk about dyslexia. Talk to everyone on Friday. Have a good rest of your week.
Hello. Thank you for watching the cafe. Please subscribe and also look at the adorable people. Just to watch this slide for it and also please the text. And don't forget to give the great friend if you are with any of our new podcast with you. And also you can see that adorable people. Just like it.